What shocked you about the US? Of all things that you faced when you moved here, what was the biggest shocker?
So I can say my parents are really happy because I can now go back to India and visit them after 6 long years. Everyone who comes to US has one thing in mind that he wants to get into IT, the capitalism of US.
And an entire generation of the workforce started facing the layoff situation of COVID.
In COVID, also, I had seen that although there were restrictions, but there is a positive side. Everyone was allowed to work from home.
The first impression of what they have about the EB1A usually is the biggest factor that determines if they will pursue it or not.
So when the COVID time was there, we know that the EB2 and EB3.
Hey Ankur, welcome to the Smart Immigrant Podcast. How are you?
I'm good, doing very well. Thank you so much for asking. And how are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. I'm feeling so good getting all these approvals for all these people, and that makes my day every single day.
I cannot.
Yeah, tell me what's in life in general, right? Like, how are you treating this approval and what's going on in general? How are you celebrating? Let's have the fun stuff first.
Well, all I can say for now is that I'm still waiting for the card to be delivered. So, but yes, I cannot express the feeling. I feel so amazing, being stuck in the immigration queue for almost a decade now and still not seeing anything, a clear path forward. That depressed me a lot, but it feels so awesome, and I feel so blessed now that I could overcome such a big hurdle of my life. And it was not just a hurdle, it was a big mountain that I crossed. And I thank you for that, for working with me on that, and being the mentor all throughout this process. And it feels really great, just in short.
Amazing. Can you tell me a little more about like how your family is taking it, right? Because most of the time we focus too much on, our clients and how they take the success. But what does this really mean for your family overall right now?
So I can say my parents are really happy because I can now go back to India and visit them after 6 long years. I've not been to India in last 6 years, so it has become very inconvenient for everyone back home. And they've been asking questions, why are you not coming here? Although they know that how immigration works in US. But my parents are very happy. They don't have to travel all the way to US every year to meet me. Now I can go back, and we can go back and forth. If I talk about my immediate family, my wife is very happy because it turns out we tried a million ways to get there, but this is the most I think strongest of the ways that we chose to get there, and fortunately we got there. So yeah, my wife is very happy. She has also not been to India in last 5 years, and she's like, okay, now I don't have to rely on you to come with me to go back to India. Whenever I have a specific time frame available, I can go back and come back. Both of my sons are US citizens, so it doesn't matter to them. They are too young to even understand how difficult it is to stay away from family, because they are with their family, and they are happy in the world they are, and they have friends around. They don't care about going back to, but we do, because being of those being of that generation who actually loves the country back home, and being of the generation who actually has been in India and want to visit the place where I was born and raised. So kind of it has become very, very joyful time of our life, and we are absolutely enjoying it and loving it.
Amazing, amazing. I actually want to go into the family side of things, of more of like what were the actual struggles you are facing and stuff generally. But let's just go back, right? Like, let's just go back to Ankur in India. Tell me about your childhood and tell me about like your entire background, basically your immigrant story. How did that happen? Different people have different stories. Some people come for school, some people come for work. So, what's your overall story? And I'm sure we haven't had a chance to casually connect about your personal story so far, because obviously we were hell bent on getting the whole, permanent residency thing done. But now that that's done, just chilling over a glass of beer, what's your story?
Okay, my story, I can say it will be long. I hope I don't consume a
Yeah,
lot of time,
yeah,
but
go ahead, go ahead.
please
This is
feel
your
free
time.
to stop me if I'm stretching it too long. Okay, so I was born in India, and a very small city of Ajmer in Rajasthan. And that's where I was raised, and I had always been in India until I graduated. Sorry, in Ajmer until I graduated. So I did my schooling from St. Anselm's for all 14 years. Starting from LKG until my 12th, I've always been in St. Anselm's. And then after that, I took Bachelor in Computer Applications as my career path forward. And then that was again from the State University of Rajasthan. So that's where I stayed. I did my BCA, completed everything. But then I was thinking of making my career in IT, and then my father was more inclined towards business. So he kind of wanted me to study MBA and take good opportunities to work with MNCs, those kinds of regular things that every parent has a dream of. So yeah, I did my MBA from New Delhi IIPM, and it was a long journey though. I made a lot of new friends from all across India, because people from across India gathered there to attend the course there. So it was a huge batch, a lot of friends I made from different states, different cultures I got to know. That was the turning point of my life. That's when I decided, okay, from here I have to get a job in an MNC and start working for companies abroad. I started working for, unfortunately, I didn't get a job in an MNC, but I started working in ICICI Bank. I'm sure majority of people in India and US from India have heard about ICICI Bank. So I started working with them. I worked there for a couple of years. Then a few friends were already in US, and we started talking. It's been quite long. We haven't connected with each other. How are you guys doing and what's happening? And I got to know that people are getting abroad and they are making a good career. That's when I started talking to a few connections, including one of a very good friend who helped me get to US. And he was already there, and a lot of other friends were already there. We held each other's hand, and then we all settled all together. But then became the most difficult. There came the most difficult part of the immigration journey. We came to US. Landing in US is not very difficult. Staying in US is, actually. So I did my master's in information technology. That was kind of again my dream. After my bachelor in computer applications, I didn't want to do MBA, but then you know how parents are in India. They drive their kids to what they want. But I won't say that was a wrong thing. My father did very good for me. I am now a businessman as well, along with working for an international company. And that helped me a lot to get where I am right now. And this journey wouldn't have been possible without me working in different directions, and working on the critical areas, and working on the trying to make good money and trying to make good life for myself. That helped me a lot. So masters in information technology I did from American University here, and it made me walk the path that I never thought of. And then eventually I got my H1B, like you already know. Again, H1B is very easy to attain but very difficult to manage. So had to go through a different jobs to keep my status going on. And that is where it landed me after 6 years. I started, I got my I-140 approved from my previous employer, and everything was going on very much fine. But then EB2, as we all know, that it could have taken 100 years to get the EB2 green card. That's the category I was approved in. But then thanks to a few people around me and yourself for showing me the path on how to get the green card quicker than the expected time frame. So this is my complete journey, and that is everything after that. So thank you so much. And it's been very difficult path, but now I think it will be easier going forward.
Yep. Yeah. I'm super glad that both me as well as like my entire team was able to be a part of your journey, and that's it's one of the most satisfying things that we do on a daily basis. Now, looking at your history, you're not the typical like computer science bachelor's of engineering B.Tech kind of person that then started off with like an engineering degree. So can you tell a little more about immigrating with a non-engineering degree? Yes, you had a computer applications degree, but not really an engineering degree, right?
Right.
So how different or difficult do you think is it like to move with the non-engineering degree to the US?
Well, everyone who comes to US has one thing in mind, that he wants to get into IT. Especially from India, people have a clear specific path forward, that we want to get into IT. IT is definitely a huge money making business as well, and jobs are very high paying. So yes, I did my computer applications, bachelor's in computer applications. It was not a very strong pillar to hold on to get to US. But then I can say I got the opportunity. I applied for different universities here, and quite a few universities picked me up, including three state universities. And I got scholarship as well in a couple of those. So that made me think that, okay, this is something that even I can achieve. It's not that you do have to be a bachelor in technology or bachelor in engineering to get to US. I got the opportunity, and I leveraged it to use it for building a good career.
So definitely we'll get into the whole how that helped you in your EB1A and like finding a permanent solution to your problems and stuff. We'll get to that definitely, and that's the climax of the story, obviously. But I still am kind of wanting to dive a little deeper into the cultural aspects, right? Like you mentioned that the immigrant community that you had around you, or the friends that you made back in school or college, they
Uh-huh.
are the ones that helped you traverse this journey even after you were in the US, right? So a lot of people feel lost, especially the new people, and this was my case as well about 10 years ago when I moved to the US. A lack of community or a lack of people that you know around you
Mhm.
really hurts from a standpoint of comfort and many more things. It's a very lonely journey at the end of the day. Even with friends, it's a lonely journey at the end of the day if you think about it, because everyone's story is unique. How did your circle help you out? One, like there's the emotional side of it, but then there's also the practical side of it. Can you walk us through that?
Okay, so yeah, I can say that I had friends in US before I moved here, and it was a very joyful and a very bright beginning in US. When I came here, all the friends used to stay together. We were just studying and trying to understand how things happen in US, how to talk to people, what things are needed to be bought, and things were all the things, all the products, all the brands that we get in India are completely different from what we get in US. So understanding the things, it made much easier for me to understand things with friends being already in US, and they were already well versed with the weather, with the uh, thoughtfulness or the language people talk in, because the English that we learn in India is completely different from what exists in US. So they helped me a lot to get there. But eventually, like you said, it's always in the end, it's always you by yourself. So I had to travel a lot. I took the first project I took was the first employment I took was a remote employment. That was again a very convenient time. I used to stay with the friends where I was. After 4 months, when I had to, but I lost the job because the project was completely over. It was a very short project. Then I took employment in Florida. So I started living in Florida. I was there for almost a year before I moved to Michigan, again, Detroit, Michigan. I worked with Henry Ford Health Services for another year or so. And then I moved in different directions. I moved to New York, upstate, and then I went to North Carolina. Eventually, the longest project I did was being a contractor. I had to always keep moving because I never thought of permanent employment, because all the friends were working as contractors, and they wanted to gather as much money as they could, because contracting pays more than permanent employment. So yeah, so I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I lived there for almost more than a year, almost close to a year. And then eventually I came back to Virginia. That's where we all started the journey. It was not an easy path. 6 years traveling like a nomad in different directions, always hoping to get a better employment, better rate, better convenient job, or to expecting to learn more from the contracting job, which usually doesn't happen. They expect us to teach them rather than learn from them. So tried to help it go both ways, but it didn't actually. So yes, tried to explore different types of employments, different places of employment. I've always been in healthcare, so it helped me a lot to build my career and become more strong in the field that I am. So yes, it has been a very difficult journey. It is not easy to survive in US by yourself, but still everyone in US is by themselves, so we cannot define that situation in words. But
Yeah.
yes, eventually I came back to Virginia, and then that's where I started my first permanent employment, which lasted for 3.5 years before I moved into contracting back again, because I needed to make more money and wanted to have more convenient job where I can travel back and forth. My permanent employment was a few hundred miles away. I couldn't travel there every week, so I had to give up, and then eventually I settled back in Virginia. That's where I started my journey, and I am loving it now.
Nice. I want to double click and go deeper into the contracting side,
Mhm.
because a lot of people who approach us, they say, "Hey, I'm a contractor. I'm not a full time employee. Like, does this really affect my chances of the EB1A, or does it help or hurt it and stuff like that?" But definitely want to go into it. But before that, I want to ask you, what shocked you about the US? Of all things that you faced when you moved here, what was the biggest shocker?
The capitalism of US.
Say
So
more.
everything is driven by money. So I've seen big organizations, they run out of money, they run out of budgets, and they let people go. Like I've seen a mass layoff like 2,000 people in one day. So leaving 2,000 people in the middle of nowhere where they have no clarity where to go and what to find next. And this was one of the employment which was in a very small town where the whole economy of the town is either the organization or the university there. So either people go to study there or work in that organization. So if the people are laid off, especially IT people, they have to move to a different state, which becomes even very difficult. After years of residence in one city, it becomes very difficult to move to a new place and find a new employment. And sometimes people fall back. I've experienced myself that if I lose a job, even if I get back to it in 3 months or 4 months, I'm out of money by then. Whatever I save, I lose it by the time I get a new job. So that is the most difficult part, surviving in US on credit cards like everyone does. So I've faced that situation, and I've been into that boat quite a few times. Not, I wouldn't say just one time. It's not always an employee's fault if he's being laid off. It's sometimes company's fault, sometimes the manager's intentions, sometimes I don't want to pin the blames on anyone, but I can say the circumstances of capitalization are like people and organizations are all driven by money. And if they are falling short of money, they will do the things you've never even thought of. Surprising facts come forward after seeing those things. So, yeah, that is the journey, and that is the most shocking experience I've had.
Yeah, that's the positive side of capitalism, which is when it's booming, there's a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities.
Yes.
And then when things start going south, there is, like, you see the ugly side, which is the brutal cost cutting, and the brutal basically do what is practically essential to save the organization, and a lot of people get affected. Now, we work with a lot of, yeah,
Just one thing, talking
yeah,
about that, I have also, I won't say that US has always been a disappointment when it comes to employment. I've seen positive days as well. Whenever I lost a job, I started interviewing with different organizations. I have seen that I've got 3 4 projects at the same time to start working on, and I have to decide from them which one is best paying, which one is more convenient, and pick from them. So I can say there is not just an ugly side of capitalism. There is a beautiful side as well, that a lot of opportunities are there, a lot of jobs are there, and you are always free to decide which one to pick.
right. A lot of people that we either work with or who kind of write to me, they are mostly like people who started working during COVID or slightly before COVID. So
Mhm.
they haven't necessarily seen like a decade plus of US economics. And if they would have seen that, maybe a decade or 2 decades of it, like yourself, they would have seen different recessions and different layoffs and how to deal with each one of those and stuff like that. But these are mostly people who have not seen that. And if they were in the workforce maybe for the past 5 6 years,
Mhm.
there weren't major ups and downs in the economic situation before COVID. And
Yeah.
then COVID came as like a very 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 big shocker, where they weren't prepared for something like that because they did not face anything like that before, and an entire generation of the workforce started facing the layoff situation of COVID as if it's the most serious event that has happened in their life. And in many cases it was, because you have the layoffs going on, but at the same time you have offices shutting down, you have travel restrictions, you can't meet people. There's so many such things that happen, right? So for anyone asking you today, how do I deal with layoff, and if it's probably a person 5 years or less into their careers, what would you tell them?
I can only say that there is always a positive side as well. In COVID, also, I had seen that although there were restrictions, but there is a positive side. Everyone was allowed to work from home. Working from home saved me a lot of time and money in traveling. Whenever I used to, my job was like I used to travel to work. I used to either pay for, because staying in Virginia, working in Washington, D.C., I used to pay $30 for parking every day, spend $15 on gas every day, working for 20 days a month. $1,000 a month was the expense of traveling back and forth. And then, along with that, even if you want to do something from office, you cannot help your family with anything. But there are a lot of times sitting in office where we don't have anything to do and we are just chit chatting with other co-workers. Rather than that, staying at home has helped a lot, although there is much less listening with other co-workers now. But at least there are a lot of things at home that you can also accommodate while working on the things, making sure that you are not causing damage to your work. So kind of, I can say that it has brought convenience as well. It has brought some restrictions as well. So everything goes both ways. So there are pros and cons on in both the things.
Yeah, looking at your overall perspective here, Ankur, and I think this also feeds into your ability to make up your mind and dive deep into the whole EB1A path is as well.
Uh-huh.
Is I see you being a lot less cynical about life than the average immigrant, generally speaking. Like there is a mindset that you have, and this is what I know, like even working with you for several months in this process. There's a mindset that you have ki yahan se acha hi hone wala hai, right? Like what, there is brighter times ahead, rather than being very cynical, skeptical that no, everything is doomed, that kind of a thing. So where did this even come from, and is this generally your perspective of life, or what?
So there is an old saying that winner is not the person who know how to hurt others. Winner is the person who knows how to get hurt and still keep standing. So like I said, I faced a lot of situations which were shocking in US, but then I came back and after all these years, I realized that whenever I got hurt, I came back even more powerful than ever before. So there is always a path forward which we should not forget. And thinking about what has happened and being worried about if it can happen again, that is not going to help anyone. Always looking forward to the path ahead is the positive key to success. So that is, I think, one of the biggest, or I can say the positive key that I have seen in my EB1A journey, that I was able to keep on walking because I was always positive about, I knew that this is something that can be done. There are a lot of other ways to get the green cards, as we all know. There are other wrong ways that ICE and USCIS are always ready to catch people for, doing frauds with immigration. And this was something, that is something I feel that you are empowered. I mean, this is the only way to get a green card where you are also being respected. And after all this success, when I feel respected that I did something which very few people can do, it gives me an immense pleasure and energy, positive energy, to keep walking towards my path forward. And that is the only thing I can say that can keep anyone motivated to achieve the goals. So I all I can say is, yes, we should always see the positive side of things rather than seeing the negative side, because if we think and feel negative, it's just going to harm us, right? If we want to achieve something, the only thing we should see is the positivity in anything. So that's what I see. I'm also into business now. I won't say that only jobs were shocking. Business is also very shocking in US, and you know that very well, right? When COVID came, a lot of big five-star hotels were shut down for months, so they lost millions, and I cannot even imagine how much funds they might have lost, even in billions. Big brands like Marriott or so. They kept on walking. They kept the positive attitude that someday we will get back into line, and when we get back, we'll come back with even more power than ever before. So thinking about the positive side always helps.
Yep. One main thing which I have noticed is whenever people come to know about the EB1A, well, everybody has their own story of how they even came to know about the EB1A. But whenever people come to know about the EB1A, the first impression of what they have about the EB1A usually is the biggest factor that determines if they will pursue it or not. Because a lot of people have this kind of misconception that, hey, you need a PhD, you need to have a research background, you need to write like a ton of papers and publish, which you do, but generally they associate it with the research profile and stuff, and or millions of other barriers that are in their mind. Maybe you need a Nobel Prize, stuff like that.
Right.
Tell me about how you discovered the EB1A process. Like for an Ankur who didn't even know about the EB1A at all and was struggling with in the EB2Q and all those things. Tell me how you even came to know about this.
So when the COVID time was there, we know that the EB2 and EB3 jumped a lot until 2015. And because my priority date being 2017, I was very much hopeful that this is coming close now. This is the time now. I kept myself prepared already. But when it retrogressed, it was the most one of the most shocking thing to know that it has now gone back to 2011 again, and there is no possibility. In last 2 years I haven't seen it come back to 2013 even. So I knew it when it got back that this is something that is going we are going to get stuck in this queue again for decades. So rather than doing that, I started thinking of different ways on how to get there. I started my business. Like I said, I started working in different directions to make more money. That's where I started gathering money for EB5, because that I thought that this is the only path forward. But then I won't put the name forward, but I met an attorney who told me that if you are trying for EB5, you can also try for EB1A. Gathering $1 million is much more difficult than doing something which is achievable quicker than gathering that money. You can go both ways, and you will definitely get your green card either ways. But it is much more fruitful if you try to put your efforts in the direction where there is a possibility of getting a green card sooner, because I was not looking forward to get my green card by spending $1 million in next 5 years. So rather, why wait for another 5 years? So that's where I got the idea. I started studying. I did some research on myself as well, and if I can do this thing or not. What will be the things that I will need before I can get there, or if I can start my application? So I started working towards it. Like you already know that I was already doing it when I met you, but then through references, I came to find out about you. And then, I mean, when I say you, I mean Smart Green Card. Uh, and that's where it gave me confidence that yes, this is something that I can do. I mean, I was just doing my research to understand if I cannot do, I can or cannot do it, to be or not to be. So but after meeting Smart Green Card program people, I realized that this is something that can be done. That's where I started walking towards my goal, although there has been a lot of hiccups within this process as well. We changed the process, doing in my name, my wife name, those things. But yes, eventually I had much more confidence last year when I met you, that oh yes, this is something that I can do. And that's where I started walking, although my journey started with the attorney who guided me. But trust me, a lot of attorneys had already guided me before him, but I never gave it a thought until it became very inconvenient for me to stay in US without a green card. Being on H1B, it's very risky and very difficult to even survive in US. You may lose a job like overnight, and then if you don't get another job, which I faced another situation at one point of time in my life where I was not getting another job, and I lost the hope to live in US. That's when I started packing my things, and then fortunately I got a job and I continued my journey. That's where I knew that getting a green card is the priority. Jobs, business, everything will come and go. I mean, you will definitely be on this ship forever, but there is one ocean to cross. For that I need a bigger ship. That's where I started working towards this. And you know that EB1A was also not a very easy journey, getting a lot of evidences, a lot of things, million things that I have worked on to achieve this. I cannot explain the journey, but I can only say that it is possible. It is very difficult for people to grasp it, and when it is fed in a very good manner or in a good way, people start thinking positive about it. So yes, that's where my attitude comes from. I keep myself motivated and positive always about things.
Right. You said that you talked to a lot of attorneys before. There are no shortage of attorneys out there that you have spoken to. Uh, Despite that, what do you think? And I'm curious. I'm not, trying to get some answer out of you. I'm genuinely curious about this point. What is the value do you think that smart green card brings to the table, which generally people don't get working with attorneys? Although all our clients work with attorneys, at the end we send them to known attorneys and like credible attorneys in the field, uh, while they are doing their filing,
Mhm.
the case writing and filing process. But what do you think is the gap that we fill that helps people slightly get better prepared for an attorney, let's say?
So there are two questions to everything: what and how. So what can be done, I knew it the day I landed in US. So I knew EB1 is a way to get green card. I knew on the day one, whenever a person starts his immigration journey in United States, he goes into different directions to learn what can be done to get a green card, right? So I can say from day one, I knew that EB1A is something that can get me a green card. But how can I do it? That was the main question. None of the attorneys could guide me how to do it. I mean, attorneys always say, "Oh, you can get, you can do judging, you can take membership, you can also get into press." But trust me, it's not an easy thing. When we hear from others that you can get there, you can gather all of these evidences and you'll be there. You should be happy about it. But how to get those is the most difficult question to answer. That is what Smart Green Card helped me answer. That is the main thing I got attracted towards this program, and that is the only thing because of which I enrolled myself in this program. So yes, I can say that I already knew, but Smart Green Card helped me get there. So all the problems, solving all the hurdles on the process, that was the help I got from SGC, and I really appreciate for that.
But still, what is it that made you take the leap of faith, right? Like we could as well have been like scamsters, or it could as well have been a scam, right? Like, who knows what led you to even take that leap of faith?
See, there is inner faith that comes from within yourself. When I met you, I can read people. I know what they are doing. So I'm not here because I was fortunate. I am here because I worked hard for it. So I know when I talk to people, I try to read them. I try to assess them. When I met you last time, talking about how we are going to do the podcast thing, I was reading you. I was
Hmm.
trying to grasp what do you mean when you say that this is going to happen. So on day one, when I met you, it was just a regular invitation with other people. I just joined the meeting. I was going over the process that you had, and I was also going over the other people who had attained this success. So I was trying to understand if this is even possible. Showing the positive side of it is the most efficient thing that you have done. You've showed me that this is something that can be achieved not just by your words, but along with the experiences of other people. I met a couple of people before I met you, so I already knew that this is happening and someone is already getting there. So before I invested in this program, I spoke to them. I got to understand their journey. I found out that this is something that they did. It could have been a scam, but there is always a risk in everything, right? If I had been on EB2, I would still be waiting for my green card. I mean, waiting for the date to get current, and it could be for hundreds of years. So rather than that, it is always good to take risk. My risk appetite is good. It is good to take risk. I took the risk. Not just I'm saying that I was not sure that you can do it. I already had the experiences that you put forward in front of me. I knew that this is something that you are already doing. The guidance that you have given, the reading material, the step by step processes that were explained on the portal, that helped a lot. It was a presentation even before I joined it, so I knew that there is the portal that I'm going to get, and this portal will have a step by step process, and it will also calculate my success. It will also calculate my progress towards the success. So those things, managing things efficiently always helps, and that's what you did.
The reason I even asked you this is because, see, right now we have a lot of people who ask us for admission into the VIP plan and stuff. So
Right.
it's not necessarily, a problem where in fact, we reject a lot of people because we don't think their profiles are ready enough or can make it and stuff. So we don't believe in like taking their money or wasting their time and like doing whatever, right? So we reject a lot of people for that reason. But it kind of pains me sometimes for the people
Mhm.
when we have around 2 or 3 since 2 years now.
Mhm.
There are a few people who every year or every quarter they ping back us with like questions and questions and questions and questions and questions,
Mhm.
not being able to take that leap of faith to join the program even after we have shown them everything, including successes,
Mhm.
plus the whatever processes that we have. There is no secret to this. The
Right.
secret is in the execution, right? Like execute, make sure that you're doing stuff. Our team makes sure that everything is flowing well, and that is the main secret. There is no other real secret here. But
Right.
then it what's painful for me
Mhm.
is whether or not they take our program. I'm not even telling them to take our program at this point.
Right.
What pains me is, come on, put some effort into it rather than being completely skeptical about the path, because in that 1 or 2 year time frame that you've been just asking us questions,
Mhm.
there have been 50 people that got approved in that time actually doing the work.
Right.
So what are you gaining by like going back and forth? In fact, you are validating the backlog that you already are going through and
Right.
adding 2 more years to that backlog again.
Right. Right. So
So
yeah, I get it completely. And when I was enrolling for Smart Green Card, I was told that we are going to get your profile over to Simon, and we'll sit with him and we'll discuss your profile. And if it is deemed okay, then, or it is when it is determined that this profile is good, only then we will accept your profile. So it gave me a point to believe more in you, because I knew that you are trying to do something good for you're not just charging money, or this is not some kind of a scam, because the person who is doing scam is just interested in taking money away from people, and rather than helping them. So when I was told that we are going to assess your profile, that gave me a positive thinking. Okay, now they are assessing. If I get to admit into, if I get the admission into this program, that means I'm 30% there. So it motivated me more. So like I said, I understand there are a lot of people, and I'm sure there will be thousands of people you will come across that will not believe in what can be done and how this can be achieved, and they will definitely fall back. But eventually they will get there, when they see others, people around them getting green cards in this category. And I'm very positive about it. People always are negative. I was always negative, that this is something I cannot do. I met a few people who did their green cards in EB1A back in 2017 and 18. I thought these people are really high profile people, and I'm not one of them. I cannot do it. I have to stick to my category, and when the time comes, I'll get the green card. This is something that this is a regular attitude that everyone has. Breaking that circle is the most important thing a person can do to get this, and Smart Green Card helped me do that. I already knew that I can do EB1A. I was already working toward it, so I was much more confident as compared to others. But I know where I've been in the situation, so I know where people are, and why do they stop thinking about it? Why do they not opt this program? Sometimes it's just that. But yes, the assessment, and when the assessment result came back, okay, your profile looks good, and we can work on with you on your profile, and we can guide you throughout this process. That is when I became more positive that this is something that is doable for me. So yes, like I said, it was my inner confidence sometimes, but your team helped me attain more confidence than I already had before I joined this program.
See, whether it is through a structured program like ours, or whether it is through on their own, right? Like people who work on their own, there is
Mhm.
always a right way to do the EB1A, and there's a wrong way to do the EB1A, and like a fraudulent way to do the EB1A, right?
Absolutely.
So, what are meaning the fraudulent way is obviously, fabricating your entire profile, which has probably nothing to do with your actual work and stuff like that.
Right.
What Even after deciding to join, okay, let's say, we are not a scam, somehow you kind of brought yourself to understand that,
Right.
but what was the confidence in you that we would follow the right way and not the wrong way of just, fabricating everything? Because what we do is a very deep analysis of, okay, where has your profile come from, what does your past several years of work experience look like, what is the specific ability that you have used in your workplace over the past several years,
Mhm.
and that is your core ability that then we help you establish like thought leadership on and build on top of, right? Like to actually be an eminent figure in that space organically. So whatever rise to fame you will have is not necessarily during the process of this program. It stretches back to your entire career history. You just wouldn't have known it because you wouldn't have seen it in a certain way. Plus, there's that imposter syndrome. You always work with people who are as smart as you or smarter than you. So you end up downplaying your capabilities most of the time. So
Right.
that's the right way to do the EB1A. And then there's the wrong way, which is like just chop though and then whatever, right? Like that's completely wrong. So what was that confidence that will not do something that is like unethical or so?
The most positive thing about this program is that none of the teammates do the things for the members. They just guide the members on how to, what to do. I mean, that is something. And how to do it, that is something that a person needs. The help that I got from the team is that they showed me that this is the area judging you can do. These are the, the judging opportunities that you can request. You can put forward your application and they might come back to you. That kept me positive and kept me going, because everything I was doing with my own bare hands, no one was doing for myself, and they were actually keeping me positive all the time. That was the main thing that I expected and I got in return. The only thing is that if anyone fabricates the evidences to get the green card, it is not the organic way of doing it, and it is not helping them live in US peacefully. You when you do things wrong, you will always be awake in the night dreaming about getting caught and throwing being thrown out of this country. This is something that is not going to help. And I want to sleep peacefully. That's where I felt more positive, because the team was guiding me that this is something that you can do. Team was not doing it for me. That is the main thing. If I do everything by my own bare hands, wherever I go, if someone wakes me up in the middle of night, he asked me, okay, what were the judging opportunities you got? I have everything on the top of my mind. What memberships you had? I have everything on my fingertips. So this is something that, because I did myself, now I feel more confident that this is the green card that I deserved. It was not that, majority of the times people fake the documents, file for the asylum, they get married to US citizens to get the green card. That is, and USCIS is always behind them, catching people always on how they are fabricating things or how they are doing fraud with the organization. So that is something I never wanted to do, although people advised me that as well. When I started looking for how to get the green card, people advised me, oh, you can apply for asylum and you can apply for you can send your wife back home, get married to a green card, sorry, a citizen, get the green
Really?
card. Yeah, yeah, people can guide you in different directions. I got all the advices I can from different people, but then I made my decision on what's the right way of doing it.
Yeah,
Doing
it
fraud,
all comes back to that word that you used in the beginning, which is respectful way, right? Like
respectful.
respect is the main.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if people get to know, okay, I am a technical director now. I'm a businessman as well. I never thought of it that I'll be one day. But then I also have the qualified under EB1A category. Now I am a judge. I'm getting a lot of judging of. Trust me, the opportunities I got at the time when I was preparing my profile, I'm getting double the opportunities now.
After getting it.
Exactly, after getting it. And a lot of medias also are reaching out that we can get you published. I'm also getting a lot of award opportunities. I can show you messages on WhatsApp. People are trying to reach out that, okay, we've seen your profile, you seem fit to get this award, and we are trying to nominate you. And why don't you just go ahead and apply for it? But then I feel positive about it, and I think I should keep my journey of getting the awards and still writing my scholarly articles. I will continue the journey because it keeps me positive and things. It gives me more respectful attitude towards my work, and more I become more respectful in the eye of others. So that's the thing that I always wanted, and I've got it. This program and not just given me a green card, it has given me a positive way of living the life, positive way of thinking how successful I can be, and also what other things are non achievable can be achieved. So when we achieve something which we have never thought of, it gives us a very unique feeling inside that, oh, I can do anything. I'm much more confident doing things now than I was ever before I started with this program.
You bring up a good point, because most people who go through the EB1A process, majority of the people, and sadly, they think the EB1A process is the end of everything. I look at it as the beginning of things, because whatever you do for the EB1A, if you do it right, you're not going to that is going to be like a catalyst to propel your career to a different level in a short period of time.
Right.
Because like you said, after going through the whole EB1A process, you get maybe speaking invitations, you get opportunities, other projects. I'm hearing of some other clients also, because of the things that they have done in getting public exposure, legitimate thought leadership and stuff.
Mhm.
Their companies that they are working for
Mhm.
organically got millions of dollars of contract, because the people who are awarding the contract, they saw employees of the company, or this employee of the company, speaking out loud about what the company does and stuff. And it was an obscure company, very small company, but then because the company was being showcased in such a light, and obviously there is that personal brand also which communicates authenticity and authority in the space.
Mhm.
When they are looking at five other companies to give a project to,
Mhm.
even if this company was a smaller one, they liked this person so much, so they awarded the company like a $5 million contract. I'm like, wow, it's so amazing. I mean, most people don't even think of it, and sadly, a lot of people, they stop even pursuing it or doing anything after their approval. I want people to see this as the beginning of a different phase in their career, and not just an end of the long wait. Because what's the use? Okay, you're not on H1B anymore, you get your green card, but then on the green card you live as if you were on your H1B, because you're not chasing higher dreams. Then what's the use of the green card?
Exactly.
Like, kya mila?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing I wanted to put forward, that this program has not just given me a green card, it has actually made me a researcher. So now I'm writing more articles, and I'm getting more citations as well nowadays, and I'm getting more opportunities to speak in front of people, and which I'm definitely taking up. And I'm also getting more awards. So a lot of people reach out to me. So this has overall given me a very positive energy towards building my career. I mean, building growth in my career. So green card was one aspect. Now this program has given me the confidence that everything is doable, everything is achievable. So the confidence that I have now, it has never been as before. So I feel very much positive, very much motivated on things. And I'm just, so you know, I get a lot of employment opportunities as well. A lot of people from different directions reach out on my LinkedIn. They connect with me, and then they say, okay, we have a position of technical director open, we have a position of vice president open in our organization, would you like to apply? I never thought of becoming a vice president in any organization ever before. So it gives me immense pleasure to say that my the whole career has been built now. I just have to keep it as it has always been, in last 1 year. So I will just walk this path and will make sure that I keep on doing what I have done, so that I keep on growing in my career.
So in this entire process of you pursuing the EB1A, what was the toughest thing that you had to do? Of all the things, there's a bunch of hard things, obviously, because if it were easy, everybody would have been like with an EB1A and that would have been backlogged as well. But of everything that you went through, what was the hardest part?
The hardest part could have been people demotivating me, but fortunately, I never let anyone know that I'm doing this, because I knew if I tell others that this is something that I'm planning to do, they will talk me out of it, and then eventually I won't be doing that. And I wanted to walk this path, and I wanted to try something that is not achievable. Setting up goals and trying to achieve them keeps a person happy. I had a routine life, waking up every day, working 10 to 5, 9 to 5, and then in the evening, stay with the family. In the weekends, go out with the family. It had become a regular thing for me. It's just a routine. Now we have to keep the life exciting, we have to keep changing things, right? More
Mhm.
and more growth. So that is what I love about it. Then things change. Now I'm thinking about a lot of bigger things. I'm also trying to venture out into different types of businesses, not just the IT business which I've always been in. So I can say that yes, eventually that's the thing that helped me a lot. The question was that uh, what could have been different, right?
Yeah, yeah. And what was the hardest part in your entire, which was what people demotivating you? But yeah, I'm all ears to know what could have been different. What do you think are among the 500 things that you maybe had to do or even more? Where are the mistakes, or where was time spent the most? What would you think would have been like better? Stuff like that.
The hardest part was to get the judging opportunity. You can always apply for memberships. You will start
Mhm.
getting their daily things, daily invitations. You can work with them to get the fellowship, but judging is something that you have to apply and keep waiting like a green card, waiting for it until USCIS actually mails it to you. So the opportunities, I kept waiting for them. I was not qualifying under that category, so I had to wait a lot. My petition was also delayed by a couple of months because of that. I didn't get the opportunities, and I wanted to cover the opportunity, this particular area, because this was something that I prepared myself a lot for speaking as a guest speaker, to judge others work. You have to become, I can say, you have to be senior enough to judge others, right? So I brought myself up to a limit where I can judge others. But if I'm not getting the opportunities, it makes no sense to do all of these things, right? So I had to wait a lot to get the opportunities. My petition was also delayed by a couple of months because of that. But again, it all came back as a positive thing when I got the approval, because nothing matters after you get the approval. All the hard or the painful time is now gone. Now I'm getting more and more judging opportunities, which I do not even need for green card, but I need for my inner joy. So I will
Yeah.
continue doing that. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So this
And
was the hardest part.
nice. Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad to know that, the hardest part was not too bad, compared to what most people kind of end up experiencing without proper guidance and stuff. But as you know, within the program, we try to maintain like a high degree of transparency, right? Like whenever someone gets approved, we invite them to transparently talk to everybody else in the program. I'm sure you've been on a bunch of those success spotlight edition
Right.
calls,
Right.
and we have had like over 50 of them so far. How did those calls inspire you? Because you get to see other people, you get to interact directly with other people who were among the recent approvals through the program, following the same process that you are following as well.
Mhm.
So what was the role in those approvals, in shaping up either your confidence or your journey itself also?
So I can say the success spotlight calls that we have had in past few months. It helped me a lot, gain the positive attitude along with guidance from other people who got their petitions approved. I know a couple of people out of them, so I reached out to them offline. I spoke a lot of things about, I spoke to them a lot about a lot of things. They helped me as well. They showed me how to get things done. I was getting more curious and in fact furious. Why am I not getting the judging opportunities? Why am I not getting the fellowship even after putting so much effort in it? But then I got to experience others' path as well, and then I found that everyone is facing the same problem. I mean, I'm not a special one who's kept out of it. Everyone gets the judging opportunities after a few months of hard effort of applying, and then that kept me moving forward, because I knew that everyone is in the same boat. No one is getting opportunities like in minutes. So yes, the spotlight calls, they provide their experience, they provide their they shed the light on their path. That helps a lot in understanding how we will get there. Even if we are facing difficult times, this difficult time will go away one day. That is what I experienced from others, so that helped a lot. And also they guided me. A couple of people helped me how to get the fellowship was very difficult to get, and I was certain that I'm not going to qualify under that category as well. But then when I applied, I was one of the editorial board member, and I was also a fellow member on one organization, so it helped me a lot, and I qualified under that category as well. So yes, not just building my positive attitude, not just building my career, it helped me actually achieve the target. It actually helped me understand what techniques to apply to get the judging opportunities, what techniques to apply to get the fellowship. I cannot name anyone else, but very well, I spoke
Right.
to a lot of other VIP members, and they showed me how to get the fellowship, and that helped.
Right. Right. And whenever people get approved from our program, we offer like a opportunity for them to be a success mentor within Smart Green Card. So thanks for accepting that opportunity. You'll be listed as a success mentor for other people in Smart Green Card, which is great. All this said,
Mhm.
there is still a part that I want to dig deeper into,
Uh-huh.
which most people don't understand before joining the program, which is there's always going to be uncertainty, there's always going to be a bunch of frustration. And I think I joked about this in your success spotlight call as well. It's like you can see Ankur as like a calm friendly person right now, but there have been many phases where I and or my team got to see like the frustrated Ankur, or the annoyed Ankur, or the pissed off Ankur, for multiple reasons, for different things that might have happened in different points of time.
Right.
That is the part which most people don't realize will happen. And no matter how much I tell them in the beginning that look, the process is something we've figured out, a lot of people have been helped through this, successful through this, but everyone has their own journey, and 0% of the people have passed through this journey without pulses of frustration.
Right.
Either it's because you're not getting the opportunity, either it's because maybe there's something so new about the profile that we have to take some time to figure out like exactly what to do. And pretty much every profiles have that, right? Can
Right.
you shed a little more light on the uglier sides of Ankur that you had to go through, and that those frustrations and those practical stuff that you go through, so that people can kind of have a realistic idea of the process, and it's not like we are trying to be like ha sab rosy ho jayega, that kind of a
Right. So very well. I just spoke that my petition got delayed by a couple of months. So how frustrating it is when you know that you are all you can see the land from the ocean, and you cannot get there because there is a roadblock within the process. So it becomes very frustrating, and I know everyone faces that situation when you think that you are almost there, but you still cannot get there. So I was in the same boat. I was frustrated a lot. Thankfully, team handled it peacefully, and they were already aware that it is his time now to get frustrated, because you see everyone do behave in the same manner that I did. And I can say that yes, a time comes in everyone's journey, EB1 journey, that he will be frustrated if he's not getting the opportunities, if his petition is getting delayed by somehow. In my case, my I-140 was also delayed. Once we sent the file, Texas location caught fire. They returned all the petition, and it became more frustrating. And I got more scared that why are they returning the petition? Are they denying it? What's going on? So there is always, I can say, a storm going inside a person's head, which he cannot explain to others. And thankfully, the Smart Green Card team understood my frustration, and they handled it very carefully and very peacefully. And thank you, everyone, for that. I know this. Everyone will see this recording, and they will listen to what I have to say. So this is for team. Thank you so much for handling me, in the way it is supposed to be, or it should be. And I apologize for all the frustration and anger you've seen in me in the past few months. But everything turned out to be positive, and it's a very joyful time. And I'm sure I wish you all the best so that you can become more strong and become more humble and understand how to handle people. Everyone has a different attitude. I was explained things and I took it in a positive way. There are some people who might not take it in the way I took it. There could be more or less frustration in people. So I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors, and hopefully you'll get more peaceful customers, or more peaceful members like me. So wishing
Yep,
the
yep.
whole team all the very best. And yes, frustration is in everyone's head. Frustration was on the day one when I started this journey, because I did not know how to get there. Although I understand the whole path now, step by step, I know everything how to do things. But it's not helpful for me now. I'm already through. But the person who's going to start his journey, he's going to be in the same boat like I did for 1 year or so. So I pray to God that they get a peaceful time. They travel this journey. They complete this journey peacefully. And even if they get frustrations, which everyone does eventually, everyone, I hope everyone gets success in this. And eventually, when success is actually attained, everything becomes normal. And,
Yeah, I don't look at my team most of the time as yes, they are really good experts who help people with the EB1A process, and they've delivered tons and tons of successes so far and tons and tons of happiness to people. But I also look at them as a team of people who can connect, right? Like the human side, and for lack of a better word, therapists in some at some points in time,
right,
but mostly people who can connect from a human side. Because although this is a journey which is very material in some way, like you have to have judging, you have to have like all these things,
right,
it is still an emotional journey for people. Because at the end of the day, why are they doing this? To give a
right.
better life to their family, to have a better career, to maybe visit their parents. And most of the time people in mid career will have parents who are older, and
Yes.
they will need more care from them at that point, which they are frustrated because they are unable to give because of all these, like, travel restrictions and stuff like that.
Right.
So I always keep telling my team that at the end of the day, look at the circumstances of the human behind who you are serving.
Mhm.
And that's helped our team a lot, like evolve into more, let's say, people who can connect from a human standpoint. But again, like, there's no use if you connect from a human standpoint all day long and then not do any work, right? Like, because then the purpose is lost. So it's that fine balance that we need to strike overall.
Well, I one thing I forgot to mention within this process, the hard times in my journey towards achieving the green card, was that when I last came from India, my H1B was revoked because of certain reasons. I had to stay back in India for 6 months before I could get back. Now, when I got back, it became very much obvious that now I'm not going back until I'm very much certain that I will return back to US. So this is again one of the positive thinking that kept me moving forward, because I wanted to go home, but I pushed myself not to do it, because whatever I have built in US, I would end up losing if I go once to India, and if I'm not able to get back. I lost my grandfather within this process. I was not able to go back. I did all the rituals over the video calls. I prayed to God over the video call. And it was really frustrating that, when since I was born until I got married, I used to sleep in the same room as my grandfather did. So I did not have a grandmother. I when Since I was the age of 9 years, I did not have my grandmother. So my grandfather was alone. I mean, all by himself. I used to sleep with him. I used to live with him. I used to eat with him. I used to talk to him a lot. So I was more connected with my grandfather as compared to my parents. So my father and mother, they've always been busy with their working things. My father he's a businessman, so he's always been busy with his things. My grandfather was the one person who took control of my life, and he did help me with everything, taking me to school, getting me back from school, everything. So that was the most difficult part, that I couldn't go back, to do his last rituals. But that is the reason that,
Right. There are other clients, right? Like who I know of. Either this could be the reason they decided to go take this path,
right,
or it could be things that they faced while they were amidst this path, right? We
right,
have had people who lost parents in India. We
yes,
have had people who have children with special needs. For them, the problem is reverse, right? Like they absolutely have to stay in the US, but they, to get the treatments and stuff necessary.
right,
But unfortunately, because their visas are limited, their children's visas are limited and stuff,
right,
they are in that limbo where the problem is completely the opposite. You want to stay in the US, but then you don't know if you will be able to get the same level of treatment for your child abroad, elsewhere or not.
right,
It's just the permutation and combination and the emotional variables here are so high
right,
that I'm like, every time I work with these clients, I have to acknowledge that yes, they are going through these things, but at the same time I should not let that affect our ability to serve them, because at the end of the day it's the results that are going to get them some peace, whatsoever it is, right? It's
right.
very easy to get into that emotions and then feel, and then not be able to actually do the work that we are here to do,
True,
as well.
true,
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
um
all I can say is that yes, it is difficult, and everyone has their own difficulty, and it becomes even more difficult with parents being sick back in India, or even grandparents being sick, or any other relative, any other kind of, there are millions of things person could have a hard way back in their home country. But if they cannot go back, that becomes even more difficult for a person to survive in US. So when my grandfather expired, I thought to leave everything in US and go back to India. There is no way I can live like this, frustrated, cannot go back, cannot see my parents, cannot see my friends and family. And
was
then
this during the COVID period?
uh, before COVID, my grandfather
Okay.
expired in 2019 in February.
Okay. Okay.
2020 in February, my bad.
Okay.
COVID had already started, but it was not its highest peak.
Got it. Got it. Yep.
Fortunately, a lot of people gathered for my grandfather's rituals, but after that, 15 days after that, everything was locked down in India and in US both.
I
So
see. I see.
March was very difficult. February, my grandfather expired. So yeah, I can say that I couldn't go back, and it was I had just come back 1 year before, so I was never thinking of going back without having a green card. So this was actually very important for me, and in fact, I think it is important for everyone who's stuck in US. Being stuck in the immigration process, you can be. I've seen people stayed in US for 15 years in a row, haven't seen their parents in those last 15 years. It becomes very difficult to stay away from family. I don't know why the US immigration process is so complex, and they know it very well that people are stuck in the process, they cannot go back, people are dying, people are getting married, new kids are born while we are away in US, and we cannot see them. So it becomes more difficult, and everyone, including all the senators and the representative, they are very well aware of it. But unfortunately, it's not getting easier. And for
No, it's a
Indians,
political, yeah, it's a political gridlock at the end of the day.
there
Yeah.
is no way this is getting a positive thinking, or there is no way there's a immigration bill coming up anytime soon which can
Yep.
resolve this problem. So it's the
Yeah.
only way, I thought, and that's the reason, again, I kept myself positive, and I kept my attitude to keep moving towards it.
Yeah. Ankur, I know we can go all day long, speaking about so many different things because this subject itself is so wide.
Right,
All I want to say is like, see, we don't believe in stopping the journey when the EB1A is done, right? So our team is coming up with ways where our clients can continue, who are willing to.
yeah,
They can continue that entire journey, whether it is through publishing courses or publishing books to establish authority in the space, whatever
right,
space they are in. It could be IT, it could be automation, it could be healthcare, it could be data science, fintech, whatever field they are in. So
Right.
I'm really excited to have the benefits of that extended to you as well. You'll see that in the upcoming months.
Uh-huh.
And I think that goes really well with your ability to, your desire to want to grow in your career as well, and be a thought leader in the space. But before we wind this up,
Mhm.
any direct comments? Let's say there's a person who is similar to Ankur but 1 year behind in the process, right? Like maybe just trying to grasp what EB1A is,
Mhm.
trying to, like, wondering if this is a possibility for them or not. They know that they worked in in their career, or like gone to school, done some good stuff, but they doubt if they are that good that they'll qualify for the Einstein visa.
Uh-huh.
Any direct word, like eye to eye word for them?
So the only direct sentence I can give them is that it doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't, it's not a huge effort to attend a spotlight call. I would suggest anyone who's looking forward to get a green card in any category for that matters. It is okay to attend a spotlight call and understand and try to talk to people who are getting success in this category and figure out for yourself. You are already doing things by yourself. It's always good to see what others are doing and learn from them and then start walking towards it. So I can say is attend the spotlight sessions, try to find out what others are doing, try to ask questions, try to come up with more positive questions and try to write down the answers and put them to use. And and if you want to, although it's not very easy, but if you think that you can achieve it, which I'm sure you'll be able to think about it after you attend the spotlight calls. So if when you think that you can achieve it, I would suggest start working right now, start working with the team, and there are a lot of people to help you. There are a lot of people to guide you how things are done. And trust me, everything can be achieved. It's just that you have to make up your mind on it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Ankur, for your time. I will definitely stay in touch, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the exciting things that you'll be doing in your career, and all the growth stories that follow. I'm really excited for all of those. So, good luck with all of that. And if there's any place I can help you with any of those things, or my team can help you with any of those things, happy to chat further. But I really wish you all the success. I I'm really glad that you are starting to see this not as the end of an immigration journey, but the start of a different era of your career.
Absolutely, yes. And I thank you and the whole Smart Green Card team for guiding me throughout this process. I will always stay connected with you, and if there is any way I can help, please do ever let me know, and I will be happy to help you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Ankur.
Thank you. You have a good
All
day.
right. Yeah.
Thank